Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Daydreaming in the Garden, a channel dedicated to mental wellness and healing, where we break down hard to swallow topics and shed light on those dusty, dark corners that no one wants to go near. My name is Portrait, and I am your host. First off, I want to say thank you for choosing you, for deciding that you are just as important as all those you love and putting yourself first. You are amazing, you are beautiful or handsome, and you deserve the world and everything wonderful it has to offer. I know that we're going through a seasonal change, and seasonal depression has become real big within the world. So just hold tight, y'all. Get you some air, do some positive reading, meditating, prayer, whatever you need to do to get where you need to be to make it through these times. You know, it's really hard during this time of the year. So today I wanted to talk to you guys deeply into an important topic: trauma bonding. If you've ever felt trapped in a toxic relationship, unable to walk away despite the pain, this might resonate with you. Let's unpack trauma bonding and how it happens, and most importantly, how to break free from it, right? Because that's really where we're here. We want to break free and heal and be able to not let that bother us anymore. So, trauma bonding. Let's start with the basics. Trauma bonding happens when a person forms an emotional attachment to someone who is abusive or manipulative. It's not love. Though it may feel like it, it's a cycle of intense highs and lows that creates an unhealthy dependence. This can happen in romantic relationships, friendships, or even family dynamics or workplaces. Imagine being hurt by someone, but they're also the one comforting you afterward. The duality that creates is a powerful emotional trap. The psychology behind trauma bonding is very researched and well thought out. And if you would like to do a lot of research on that after you finish this episode, feel that please feel free to do so. I am unable to link anything as of right now because I have to confirm my account. So until I get that through, I'm sorry that you have to do a little research, and I'm sorry about that, you guys. The science behind trauma bonds are fueled by intermittent reinforcement. It's when love and affection are inconsistently given. Sometimes you're adored, other times you're devalued or hurt. This triggers dopamine, making you crave the good moments, while cortisol, the stress hormone, keeps you stuck in survival mode. Keeps you going in that cycle of, oh my God, walking on eggshells and stuff. Nobody should have to live like they're in their home. And if you are, I'm so sorry. Over time, this cycle creates a dependency, like an addiction to the person causing the pain. The bond feels intense because your brain is wired to seek safety and approval from them, even when they're the source of the harm. It's really hard to break from a trauma bond because of how dependent you become upon them emotionally. It becomes like a drug addiction. It really does. The signs that you might be in a trauma bond, or you feel stuck or unable to leave despite the harm. You justify or minimize their abusive behavior by saying stuff like, oh, he only hit me once. Once is more than enough. Um, you keep hoping they'll change despite repeated patterns. You feel guilty for setting boundaries or thinking about leaving them. And the relationship feels like a roller coaster. Highs are amazing, but lows are very low and devastating. This may be for you. You may be in a trauma bond and you may need to start seeking some type of therapy or help in order to get out of it. You need a support. Start surrounding yourself with a support system. That is the first and foremost thing to do. If any of these resonate, know that you are not alone, and recognizing the pattern is the first step to breaking free. It's really hard to break from a trauma bond because breaking free from a trauma bond isn't just about willpower. It's about unlearning patterns that might have rooted early in experiences at the beginning of the relationship. For example, if you grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent or conditional, this kind of relationship might feel familiar. And though it's unhealthy, you decide and you have been trained and conditioned to think that that is what love is supposed to be. And it's not. It's not. You should be loved healthily regardless. Another challenge is fear of being alone, fear of losing the good moments, or fear of retaliation. Abusers often use these fears to keep you tied to them. But here's the truth: it's not your job to fix someone else at the cost of your own well being and mental health. It's not your job, it's not your place, and you are not a superhero. We keep talking about that. Give me that cape. Let me get it. Because we're not doing that anymore. We're healing, correct? So, with healing, we have to learn that at some point, no matter how much it hurts, we have to let go. There are steps to break free from these trauma bonds, and we're going to talk about those. Healing takes time, but it's absolutely possible. For one, you have to recognize the patterns. Awareness is key. Acknowledge that it is trauma and not a love bond. We do have to acknowledge that. If you feel as though you can't leave because you're scared they're going to hurt you or make you lose your job or hurt someone around you, that is a trauma bond. It's time to go. Seek support. Connect with a trusted friend, therapist, or support group. Isolation feeds trauma bonds. So build a network, find a support group, do what you need to do to get back into those good graces with the people that they made you fall out with. Let's get a support system going. That's the first step to me. That's me. Set boundaries. Start small but firm. It's okay to limit contact or remove yourself from the situation entirely. You can really go no contact if you want to. You're grown. You can do whatever you want. Focus on yourself. Rebuild your identity outside of the relationship. Pursue hobbies, goals, and connections that make you feel whole. Therapy helps, y'all. Therapy helps. Trauma bonds often tie back to unresolved childhood wounds. Therapy can help you process and heal those wounds. And in healing those childhood wounds, you start to heal yourself and disconnect from stuff that is hurting you or traumatizing you or feeding from your mental health. Breaking a trauma bond is like untangling a knot. It takes patience and care, but every step you take is a step closer to freedom and self love. You deserve a relationship built on respect, trust, and kindness, not fear and control. If this message resonates with you, I want you to know that you are stronger than you think. Healing is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Feel free to share your story in the comments and let's support each other on this journey. Because throughout my content, I've noticed that I've seen people helping each other heal and understand and process these types of moments throughout life. And I'm really glad that y'all can do that. If you want to follow my content, I will have that right here for you guys to do so because I do believe that having a support system and building a community is the best thing to do. Now that we have talked about trauma bonding and we have gotten a good grasp of what it is and examples of what it may be, I would like to get into PTRS or post traumatic relationship syndrome. If you've experienced a toxic or abusive relationship and are struggling with the aftermath, this part of the video is definitely for you. We'll discuss what it is, how it impacts your life, and most importantly, how to heal and move forward from it because it can be debilitating, just like PTSD. So, exactly what is post traumatic relationship syndrome? PTRS is a traumatic response that develops after an abusive or deeply distressing relationship. It's not an official diagnosis like PTSD is, but it shares many similarities such as flashbacks, heightened anxiety, and difficulty trusting others. The key difference is that PTRS specifically stems from interpersonal trauma, things like emotional abuse, manipulation, infidelity, or even neglect in a relationship. It's a condition that leaves emotional scars. But the good news is the healing is possible. We're going to heal from this. You are okay. You are not what you've gone through. Please know that you are loved and supported, and there is a community of people out there for you. You are not alone. So, let's talk about the signs and symptoms of PTRS. If you're experiencing any of these, it might be a sign that PTRS is affecting you. Hypervigilance. You're constantly on edge, anticipating conflict or betrayal. You're always trying to figure out when the next time they're going to cheat, or when the next time they're going to fly off the wall, or when the next time they're going to become very hostile. The next one is emotional flashbacks. Certain situations or words trigger memories or of the past relationship. You become very triggered by like toxic. That's a triggering word for me. Avoidance. You avoid relationships or situations that remind you of the trauma. Solitude isn't the best way to go about healing, guys. Avoidance, you can't heal avoiding the world. That's not healing, you know? Difficulty trusting. Of course, this is going to be the number one thing, and I feel like I should have said this first, but building trust with others feels impossible, even with the people who are safe. Even with people that you've known your whole life and you know they would never do you like that, you start to doubt it, you know? Low self-worth. The abuse might have made you question your value or blame yourself for what happened. You may have a lower self-esteem level. You know, you may look at yourself differently in the mirror, and it's okay. This is all normal. Intrusive thoughts. You find yourself replaying arguments or hurtful moments over and over again. And if any of these sound familiar, know that you're not broken. These responses are your mind and body trying to protect you after what you've been through. It is perfectly normal for your mind to feel as though it has to protect you in those situations. And it is perfectly normal to feel as though you have to isolate yourself and put yourself in solitude after such a traumatic relationship because that's what you have become used to. Not only through conditioning of the relationship itself, but through the fact of fear in itself after leaving If any of this sounds familiar, know that you are not broken. These responses are your mind and body trying to protect you after what you've been through. Please know that you got to give yourself time and grace to get over things like this. It will not happen overnight. The impact of PTSR doesn't just affect your relationships, it can seep into every part of your life. It might make you feel disconnected from yourself or others, impact your ability to trust, and even cause physical symptoms like exhaustion or insomnia. You can be very tired or very wide awake depending on the situation or circumstances and how your body decides to react to them. So please make sure you give yourself grace and get you some herbal teas of some kind if you need to, do what you need to do to relax and in the circumstances that you have. It can also make you feel intimacy, making you second guess your decisions or struggle with boundaries. But it's important to remember these are normal responses to abnormal situations. Now, let's talk about how we're going to begin to heal from this. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible. And here are some steps to help you move forward. You have to acknowledge the trauma. The first step is recognizing that what you experienced was real and valid. Give yourself permission to grieve and feel. Feel the emotions as they come, when they come. I will literally start busting out crying in the middle of Walmart. If I feel the emotion, it's going to come. Call me sensitive. I don't care. I don't care. So seek professional help. Therapy can be life changing. I actually did 2 months worth of BetterHelp myself, and it actually helped me tremendously. I plan on going back, and it was a little expensive, but not as much as like going to brick and mortar therapist sessions. Especially trauma focused approaches like EMDR or CBT. A therapist can help you untangle the emotional impact of the relationship, and also to help you understand and process it as well. You also need to rebuild a sense of yourself. Journaling, meditation, or even trying new hobbies can help you reconnect with who you are outside of the relationship. And that is so important because you have forgotten who you are. Set boundaries. Start practicing boundaries in all areas of your life. This will help you regain a sense of control and a sense of yourself again. Practice self compassion. Be kind to yourself. Healing takes time, and it's okay to have setbacks. It really is. It's okay. It's okay. Remember, healing isn't linear. Some days feel harder than others, but every small step you take is a progress, and every day you go is a step towards healing and getting over the relationship completely. To read when you're ready to open up to others again, start small. It's okay to take your time and to test the waters. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries and make you feel safe. Trust isn't built overnight. It's a process, and it's okay to go at your own pace. Also, don't forget, you're allowed to prioritize yourself and your healing. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not fear and control. That is not a healthy relationship. I don't care the dynamic. I don't care if it's your mama. I don't care. It's not healthy. And I'm saying it like that because I want you to understand how unhealthy that is. Now, my final thoughts on everything that has been going on is PTRS can feel like a heavy burden, but it's not something you have to carry forever. You are more than the pain you've endured, and you have the strength to heal. Remember, seeking help isn't a sign of weakness, it is a sign of courage. It is a sign of strength and resilience, in my opinion. And I've never felt more strong than I did when I finally sat down in that therapy session and I talked to my therapist on Zoom and was able to cry and release things that I haven't cried or released about in a very, very long time. Things that I thought I was over that were not over. We have to remember that healing is intentional. And with those intentions, you have to remember that you have to do the work in order to truly heal, or you're only suppressing it. We have to become what we need in the world. And in order to do that, we also have to heal ourselves so that we can support each other on this journey. We can become a community. I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. And if you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, like,